I made my big book summer YouTube video talking about the big books, the large volumes that I plan to get to this summer or this summer/fall. We'll see how that goes. The list was kind of large, as you saw if you watched the video. And I thought it would be fun to do a small book video with the books that I will hopefully squeeze in amongst those big books. Because sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a palate cleanser in between the larger, big fantasy science fiction volumes that we like to read. And this list is smaller. It's less. I don't have as many books on it as I do on my bigger list. There's just a lot of big books that I need to get to, and so that's just a larger list than this list is. And this will probably be like intermediate. It'll take me a lot longer to read these books probably because I'll be reading them in between books to read at the gym. If I'm not completely obsessed with the big book that I'm reading, and I don't take that to the gym and I take something else. I'll go through the list quickly, and then I've got a couple honorable mentions. And these are all books that I have on my bookshelf. The list might change slightly as the summer goes on, because if I'm at book shopping at the bookstore and I find something cool that's really small that I like, that I want to throw in the list, I might do that. Without further ado, let's get into the 5 books that I have and the 2 honorable mentions as of today. First on the list, we have The Outsider by S.E. Hinton. This is a very small book. It's a borrow from my brother-in-law, so this is not actually from my bookshelf. I don't know much about this. We started watching the movie a couple years ago, and he was kind of telling me the story a little bit about this high school girl who wrote this book, and just of kind of based off of boys that she knew in her school. And so it's supposedly a classic tale. So we'll throw this on as the first book that I'm going to get to on this list. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Next, we have Warriors by Aaron Hunter. Now, this is obviously a children's book about cats. I'm a big cat fan myself, but I've never read this book. This isn't usually one that I would put on my list of books to read. This isn't something that I normally have on my bookshelf. But I have a son. I have more children potentially coming in the future as time goes on. And I assume that they'll want to read children's books. They're not going to want to read these giant, big fantasy books yet when they're little children. And so I thought it'd be a good thing to do would be to read them before they get to them and just kind of get an idea of what they're looking at. And so Warriors by Aaron Hunter, I don't know anything about. I don't know if it's like anthropomorphic animals where they can grab things sort of like Redwall, or if it's more like the Guardians of Ga'Hoole where they're just moving around and interacting with the world as they can, as cats would. And it seems like there's a lot of books. I think my niece has read some of these or has read a lot of these. So we'll see. I found this at a used bookstore for like $1, I think. So I thought, we'll throw it in the list. And I've had it for a bit and I have not read it. So I hope to get to it this summer. We'll see. I'm sure it just flies. I mean, it's very thin. The pages, the print is very large. So we'll see what happens. Next, we have Pincher Martin by William Golding, author of Lord of the Flies, one of my favorite books. Another short, quick, concise, gripping tale that I really love. I had my wife read it last year, and she enjoyed it and thought it had a lot to say, which is really cool. It's just a great book. This I saw at my favorite used bookstore in town, and the name of it grabbed me. The back, I usually don't read the back of the books if I think that I'm interested in reading it, but this one also just seemed interesting. A story about a guy surviving on a rock in the Atlantic Ocean. So Pincher Martin, we will see what that one is. The print is not, it's about average. I don't know. This book has like never been opened. There's a little bit of creasing on the spine, but it's a stiff open. You can kind of see, but it's got this kind of red edge to it. Looking forward to this. This is the third on my list. And I don't know exactly what to expect, but if it's anything like the quality of Lord of the Flies, I'm excited. Number 4 on my list, Misery by Stephen King. It's been a bit of a while since I've read Stephen King. I'm trying to think of the last Stephen King book I read. It's been a while. I'm not exactly sure. This is interesting. This is this exact same shape. I should try to pull it off my list, my shelf. Yeah, it's like the exact same shape as these books, and obviously it's a similar style. We've got Dolores Claiborne and Misery. This is like a 30th anniversary edition, but it's, they're printed by, I believe the same. Yeah. Simon & Schuster. This is a great one, but I've read it. But this Misery, I know a little bit about the idea of it. The author meeting a fan, I believe, who's kind of obsessed. something crazy like that. And then there was a movie made off of this that's supposedly a pretty good adaptation of the book. So yeah, we are looking forward to reading Misery. It's fourth on my list, and the list might get shuffled around as we go on, but this one's probably the longest that I have of the books that I've had on here so far. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty quick read. Dolores Claiborne was very fast. I think I read that in a couple days. So we'll get to this when we get to it. Next, we have Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I feel like I should have already read this at some point in my life. I've read 1984, Fahrenheit 451. I think there's others that I'm not thinking about right now, but this is kind of, I guess, like a different version of the 1984 story. And I don't mean that in the sense that it's like the same prompt kind of taken two different ways, but I've heard that there's kind of parallels in, Huxley thought that the dark dystopian future would go this way, and Orwell thought that it would go this way. And so I'm curious to see what this is like. This is probably, if we're going by length, I mean, I have to check word count, but this is probably longer than Misery, I would guess. It's a little bit bigger size, maybe more pages. I don't know, but it's got the only thing about this, it's got all these annotations by, you can look in the margin there, somebody who had this before me, and you can tell that this is, a used book, because I mean, it's just kind of marked up there, which is a little annoying, but I think I can read past it and just ignore those notes and get my own things out of the book. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this as well. Another classic that I just haven't got to. All right, so those are the 5 that I have on my list for this summer. Hopefully we'll squeeze in amongst the bigger things, stuff that I have on my bookshelf or that I've borrowed from somebody else. And again, it might change as I pick up more books over the summer, but I wanted to throw in 2 honorable mentions before I finish the video. And these are books that I've read before. One of them, or maybe both of them, I've read a couple times before. I'm just curious to see how they are now that I'm older, and it's been a number of years since I've read either of them. And those are the second book of the Narnia series, the first one published, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then the third book of the Harry Potter series, A Prisoner of Azkaban. And obviously this is the one that everybody says, yeah, this is the best. This is really the turning point in the series. This is where things start moving. And I remember enjoying it a lot when I first read it a long time ago. And the same as this one, I thought this was entertaining as well. But yeah, it's been so long. And this is really short. This is, maybe the shortest thing on here if I add this to my other list. This is a bit longer. This is, we start to, I think the book 1 and book 2 are very similar in length. And then this just kind of expands, and then we just really blow up as the series goes on, which makes sense. It's just, bigger cast and all that stuff. If we get to these other 5 books by the end of the summer and we have more time between bigger books, we'll throw these in and we'll see where we're at. But that's my small book summer book list. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm looking forward to. If you've read any of these, let me know in the comments what I should look out for. Don't give me any spoilers, obviously, but just say, hey, this is good, this is bad, and I will take it with a grain of salt until I can form my own opinion. That's the video for today. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.